Is it possible from the physical to radiate, a decent amount of energy to any of the realms? Or when you're radiating energy, it's strictly in the physical?
Yeah, it's possible to do that.
But it's like harder, it's tougher?
Mm-hmm.
It's tougher? Like, let's say I want to radiate energy like to the lower astral realms. Is that possible from here?
It's possible, but it's not recommended unless you know what you're doing. But it's possible. I mean, you don't want to radiate energy to the lower realms or the lower hells, what people call it. Unless you can go there personally and use that energy to help someone. But you by just saying the upliftment of the world is going to all the realms. If you're directed in that, to the world as a whole. Because we see the world as just this physical world, but it's more than that. It's all the realms. So the energy will be used up where it needs to go. Any other questions? I thought we had specific questions on the technique. Everyone have the technique down?
Well, I asked last week. I asked you last week, what was it that makes a prayer balanced, as opposed to other prayers that are not?
I told you we don't go into that.
Oh, later on.
Yeah, I think there's a section that we go into. Isn't there a section here? And I think I kind of answered that. It's the prayer itself that makes it the impersonalness of the prayer that makes it balanced.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the personal prayers are aimed towards you and your own emotional needs. But when you do an impersonal prayer, to the world, or for an individual that you may not even know, you might be looking at the news and you see a particular individual that needs something, and you take out the time, and you don't know them, you just take out the time to send a prayer to them. That's a very powerful prayer, and it's impersonal, and majority of the time it's balanced if you have the right knowledge and understanding about manipulating energies. You understand? So that's what makes that's what makes prayer balanced more than anything.
If somebody has a prayer for the third person, but then in some ways expecting some sort of congratulations, or goes to the person and tells them, "Oh, I was praying for you," some sort of reciprocation. Is the prayer canceled in any way? Is the energy lost?
No, it's not. But why would you do that? Why would somebody?
Well, there's people who've done that.
But you kind of mess it up there. I mean, you're sending out a different type of energy. But once you release that energy to that person in that particular moment, then you cut it off. Now you may send some more mixed up energy if that person doesn't if you're looking for something in return. Now another thing, intent is the biggest thing about this type of practice. If you intend to get a congratulations from that person, then you are discoloring that energy. It's not as impersonal as you think it might be.
That's what I would think. I asked you because once I had that experience. Somebody told me, "Oh, I was looking at you and I prayed for you," and I didn't know what to tell the person. Like, thank you, or But I thought that if I were ever to pray for somebody, maybe I shouldn't tell them. I should be telling the person.
Yeah, I wouldn't go tell them I'm praying for them. Unless they ask me to. But no, because you don't want to discolor the energy. You want that energy to go out as pure as possible. So your intent to send the energy out should be for that purpose and nothing else. Is to heal that person or to help that person. You're not looking for anything personal to come back to you. Although personal energy will come back to you, but that's not what you're looking for. You're looking to move forward with the goal that you set out to do. Now, if your intent to do something else, then it's that factor of I know a lot of people don't like hearing it, but that's what it is. It's the factor of white magic, gray magic, and black magic. And your intent is use the rule, the scale is on that. That's where your intent, that's where the energy level will be. If you want to do good, but you want some personal gratification at the same time, then you leaning towards gray magic, right? If you want to, do good all for yourself, then you leaning a little bit towards black magic, If you want to do good in regards to yourself or whatever, you just make everything right, then is you leaning towards white magic, So, and when I say magic, I mean action too, because all actions are magical actions simply because we don't understand what it takes to bring about any one action, because no one can really tell me every little thing happen in order to just wiggle a finger. There's hundreds of thousands of things happening just to do that. So it's a magical action. We can get major events that's happening, but you don't know what's going on.
Right. It's interesting. It's the first time I hear that term, gray magic, and everybody talks about white or black. But I guess most of us are probably in gray.
Yeah, most of us are probably in gray. Yeah. But I think Dr. George King, he has a tape called "The Three Forms of Magic." You can order that from the Dear Society website. But he goes into it in depth. Any other questions?
I have one question. If you've had like surgery in your physical body, obviously does that affect all your other?
All your other what?
Your etheric, does it affect your chakras? I mean, does it?
I don't know if it affects your chakras. It might affect the flow of energies inside the etheric envelope where the chakras reside.
Right.
But the chakras are not in the physical body.
Okay.
You understand that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's in
Right,
more
the
of an
energy
etheric
flow.
body.
The energy.
Yeah.
It can affect it?
To a certain degree, yes, it can.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of people get mixed up about thinking that the chakras are in the physical body, but they're not. They're in the etheric body.
Right.
But it does affect the energy flow. But you can always correct that
How do you correct?
with the same type of exercises and practices that we're talking about through Raja Yoga, through Bhatha Yoga, through visualization practices, through Hatha Yoga, through all those things, through pranayama, the proper visualization, positive thinking.
Right.
All those things can be, you can align the energies of the body, with those things.
Okay.
Any other questions?
If you set out a prayer or an energy, like, shouldn't you even worry that if you sleep or how would you know?
That's where one of the things that we talk about at the beginning of classes is the belief in God. If you have a strong belief in God, then you know that this tremendous, endless potential of energy is out there for you to pull down, and that you're an instrument for it. So the very fact that you have a thought, and that your conscious mind, subconscious mind is taking care of millions and millions and millions of calculations in your body, you know, and you have no knowledge of that. So who's doing that for you? God. So also you can pull on that same energy, that same mental power, and pull down some of this energy for yourself and release it out to the world to bring about some type of karmic balance. See? I mean, think about it. I mean, you know, God is all around you. You see God every day. You see God in action every day. So the fact that you made that thought, you created that thought, and you told, you know, you created this thought form and you sent this thought form out with this vibrant energy to go to someone, it's going there. Whether you can see it, feel it, or whatever, it's there. You know. And don't think this is some type of weird science. Like I was telling you last week, you know, even the physical scientists realize this. That's why they have all these placebo pills. You know, they give people these pills that have nothing in it. And it tells you, if you take this, you'll feel better. And you take it and you feel better. You know, what are they using? They're using the power of your mind. You know?
Suggestion.
Yeah. It's a mental power that they're using that you haven't been able to tap into, but they're using some type of indirect negative way to have you to tap into that part of your mind. You know, so it exists. It exists. Any other questions?
I know you probably answered this before, but I was curious about the specific in the mechanics of spiritual healing, contact healing, and with prayer. I know one you said, because it's more impersonal, the prayer is much more powerful, but in the respect to invoking energy and sending it out, what is the difference between that healing and prayer?
Not much difference. I mean, you pulling the energy in, you know, using almost the same technique, and you pushing it out using almost the same technique. So it's not much difference. It's not much difference at all. I mean, the biggest difference is the visualization component to it. In healing, you're pushing the energy through the person, you know, through that person, and pulling it out, and then you're transmuting it. But in prayer, you're just allowing this free flow of energy to come through you, and then you cut the energy off at the end with the mudra. So that's the biggest difference.
And in regard to the divas, is it more, are you using more divas with prayer, or engaging the divas more actively in prayer than you are in healing?
Probably so, because especially if you're doing long distance. But you also do long distance healing too. You know, you do long distance absent healing. So it's probably about the same. You know, but when you're doing 12 lesson practice, it's totally different. But when you're actually doing a one-on-one healing, is, you know, I think you do more with prayer than what you do with the healing itself. With one-on-one healing with a person versus you doing prayer for the world or for a particular incident or whatever. But it's almost the same mechanics. Almost the same mechanics.
And in regards to the different types of way of doing mantra, speaking it, whispering it, and thinking it, is it similar with prayer? Do we get different?
Yeah, with prayer, the same thing. It's the same law. When you voice something loudly on a physical level, it affects the physical plane. When you whisper, it affects the mental plane. And when you think, when you have a pure thought of something, it affects the psychic world.
Are those
Psychic spiritual world.
Are those like? Does that relate to the same question I asked you, where you could affect other realms? Is that how we
Yeah,
do it?
yeah. The same thing.
You'd recommend us though to stick with the physical for now?
Yeah,
Voicing?
and listen until you know what you're doing. Yes. You don't want to entrance some entity to come and, you know, have you to feed them energy. You know, you don't want to do that.
somebody passed away, can you still pray for them?
Yeah. Yeah, you can pray for them. It's good to do it right, right when they pass away too. Within so many hours of them passing away. You can give them energy to move on. In fact, in the Buddhist and the Hindu, they have ceremonies that they do. They set aside, some set aside 5 days, sometimes they set aside 7 days, or sometimes they set aside 9 or 14 days, where they chant a mantra and send energy to the person who just passed away. So that they can pass easily or come to some type of awakening, so that they can go to the what is called the soul slumber or whatever. So they can quickly go through soul slumber, where they go into this hybrid state the way a baby do. When they're in the womb of a woman, they go into this deep sleep for 9 months or whatever. Well, when you die, you do the same thing.
Is that what they call the bardo?
Probably, where they go and they go through all their past lives. They go through all their past lives. Yeah, and they go through all their past lives, and then when they come out on the other side, then they know exactly what realm they belong on, and they just go to that realm, and they live out their life on the astral realms for whatever time that they're supposed to be there. And then after that's finished, they are reborn again, in a whole nother physical body. Yeah.
Now, in regards to specific prayers, or you have a specific intent, what is the relation between that and karma? Let's say you want to go ahead and pray for healing for a specific person, and you send that energy. Now, how does that affect that person's karma? Because the reason I'm saying that is because I know there was somebody who prayed for a specific thing for someone, and in return, she had to lose something from her in order for that person to gain that.
I don't necessarily believe that. Some people say that, but I don't necessarily believe that.
So that doesn't interfere with whatever experiences that person had to go through?
No, not necessarily. I don't think, see this, this is where the belief in God comes again, all right? Now, if you believe in God, right, you believe that God have this what they call omniscience. You know what omniscience means, right? He's all-knowing, and he has his omnipresence, and then he's omnipotent too, or it is omnipotent. Then you realize that those little fine details you don't need to really worry about, because that person's destiny is that person's destiny. Now, how that person chooses to get to that destiny is up to that person because of free will. Okay? Now, we can lend energy to that person to allow them to get there a little bit quicker. In other words, you have high performance cars that take 93 octane, and you have some cars that take 87 octane, right? But then you have a jet that takes jet fuel, So in other words, we can give that person enough energy to move quicker and smoother than using the 87 or the 83 octane. You understand? So, but the energy, that person is destined to be there. Even Satan is destined to be a Jesus one day. So it's just a matter of us having the compassion to radiate enough energy to that person for good, not for bad, to help them come to their awakening quicker. you know. So you can't really interfere with a person's karma, you know, unless you get down dirty with them, you know. You know, so in other words, like you go and commit a crime with them, and you go and lead them to the wrong way. Then you and that person are tied together until you work that karma out, you know. So that's you know, a lot of people in your family or in your friend network is because of things that you and that person are trying to work out. You know, probably it may take 2 lives or 200 lives. But you know, that's why that's why you find that that's why you find that family members and friends are they make your life very, very hectic. You know, and you really don't want them to be around you. You know, but then at times you really want them around you. You know, you really crave for them at times, and then at times you really want them to get as far away from you as possible. And it's because of the karmic flux that you have with that person, you know. And you know, that's why you find people that's moving on in their development, they have very, very little people that's close to them. You know, and you'll notice that as you move forward. Not that you some hermit enough. It's just that you worked off all that karma. So now, instead of you being among the many, you become a light for the many. As people usually come to you for guidance and help or whatever, and you don't, and you're not really in the drama of their life. You know, you're really outside of the drama of their life. But that's that's how karma works. You can't interfere with someone's karma. I don't believe that.
Going off of that, does the level of relation that you have with someone correlate to the level of karma you have with them?
Probably. To a certain degree, I would think, yeah.
So like my karmic tie with my brother would be stronger than a karmic tie I have with like a third cousin or something?
Probably, yeah.
Even if we're very different people?
Yeah. You know, the shocking thing about it all, when you move forward and go into your personal development, and you begin to see who you were in your past lives, you're going to realize it may bring you to tears, all the things you did, the horrible things that you may have did. So, you know, be careful about how you judge a person, you know, because you might be the product of that person, you know, that you're judging. If that person's in your life, somewhere, you all intertwined somewhere, especially if they're a relative of yours or whatever, you know. You know, if you think this person is some horrible person, those attributes are probably within you, and it's probably not too far away from you. It's just that you just have a better sense of control right now over that, you know. But at the blink of a minute, you probably can fall right into it. Or you can be example for that friend or that brother or whatever, so that while they're going through it, they can see that you are not tempted by the same thing. And you can lead them out of that, you know. Or you can have them to go deeper into it. So those are things, you know, that you have to think about in doing that. You understand what I'm talking about?
So if you have a karmic relationship with someone that's in your life, and for whatever reason you feel like your cup is full, and you don't necessarily want to go through sorting it out with that person, does that reappear some other time in your life through another being, another relationship, where you have to finish up that?
Yeah, most likely it does. If you don't complete that, if you don't come to some higher resolution of that, or you don't transmute it to a higher level, you know, it's you know, most likely you have to do that. You know, so you know, relationships are very hard. You know.
No matter how long it takes, like if you're willing to do it and move forward, but the person's still kind of slow.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. It's in the New Testament somewhere. I can't remember exactly. It just popped out of my head. One of the disciples was speaking to Jesus, and Jesus told them, "Shun your family." You know, shun your family. You remember that?
Yeah, Dr. King says it too.
Yeah, say shun your family, shun your friends, whatever. I mean, you know, move away from them if necessary. If they are the ones that's holding you back, then, you know, shun them, move away. And develop yourself. And then when you come back to them, they, you know, it'll be the betterment for them. You know, I mean, you don't cast them out, but you know, just leave them alone to do what they do, and you do what you have to do. And usually, if they're linked to you in some type of way, you know, you might be the light for them to move forward.
Isn't it harder though if it's your children? Or
Oh yeah, it could be or could not be.
For your mother?
You know, sometimes you have to do them in. You know, you know, it's just like, in other words, you know, you have a piece of metal, and you want to make, you know, you want to have that metal to look better. So what do you do to it? You put it in the fire, and you beat it and beat it and beat it and shape it into what you want it to do. So some, you know, kids are like that, family members are like that. You know, they have to feel the fire sometimes.
But if it's with the wrong intentions of the person who's shunning the family.
If what?
If they leave the
No,
family.
I'm talking about for personal development. I'm not talking about
They think it's personal.
for anger or jealousy and all that and just craziness.
They think it's for
you know.
personal.
You know, it's for your personal development. You know, then sometimes you have to make decisions like that. It may seem hard, but you know, I think all the great masters have told us that sometimes that's what you have to do. You know, you have to shun them. You have to get away from them, because really, and then when you in your meditations or whatever, when you begin to see your past life, you'll say, oh, okay, that's why. Because this person was the person that was holding you back for maybe 10, 20, 30 lives. And it may take that long for you to come to that decision and say, hey, I'm moving on regardless of you know, of our relationship, of our connect, you know, of, you know, the connect that we have. But you have to do that.
It's detachment.
Yeah, it's detachment.
that's where bravery comes in too, right?
That's where bravery comes in. Because think about it, you've been with this person for hundreds of thousands of years, you know, and now this person is a part of you and you're a part of that person. And now you have to move forward. It takes a lot to detach from that person. But you find that you have to do it, you know, in order to move forward.
Are these like the actual soul relationship, you know, like, or is it, you know what I mean? It's like, is that
Well,
the
the
actual?
soulmates? No, not necessarily. It's just relationships that you build and you learn from. You know, in life, in order to learn anything, you need to attach and relate to someone, right, or something, right? So we do this in a negative way, right? We don't do it in a positive way. What we do, we build all these relationships, and you know, we're told in sociology and anthropology that no man's an island, right? And that in order to build your, you know, in order to have this type of personal development and social development and spiritual development and emotional development, you got to talk to other people, you got to relate to other people, you got to interchange and whatever, right? We do that because of the evolution that we went through, and then the revolution through evolution that we're going through. See, we keep reviving in this whole evolution thing, right? And it's a negative energy exchange. Now, the positive way is to go within and to connect with your higher self, because your higher self is up on a mountain and it sees everything. See, and it relates to everything and it's connected to everything. But since we're not at that level, we have to reach out and we have to speak and talk and interchange with the people around us in order to build that. So we build these, these group entities that takes lifetimes to disconnect ourselves from.
So when you talk to, when you create these relationships, is that like speaking with little bits and pieces of your higher self?
Well, it's you and that is you, yeah, in a sense, yes, in a sense. But it's you and all these different group souls are moving through one reincarnation after another. Over and over and over and over and over and over again. And you create this group consciousness. That's why you find that, if you can take down the personality of a particular person and the way they walk, the way they look, the way that the gestures they make, you can group hundreds of thousands of people all over the world, no matter what culture they're in. You can group them in one group, and you can see those same actions happen over and over and over. No matter what language they speak, no matter what religion they practice, you see the same mannerisms. And you have these groups of consciousness that go through life, over and over and over and over and over again, until they move away from that, and they become this single light, this beacon of light for everyone to follow, And you see this on every level, in the Christian church, in the Buddhist church, in the Hindu church, in politics, you see this. A couple of years ago, everybody was crazy about, Obama over here, you had this huge flux towards him. And believe it or not, everyone that voted for him was connected to him in some type of way. See, so that's what I'm talking about. You have these waves of consciousness that leads on these different levels, and you can see that in your meditations as you move forward. Any other questions?
Is there any connection to when you reincarnate to the geographical location where you used to live before? Do people reincarnate in the same place, the same countries, or is it just shuffled around?
It shuffles around, but it depends on what they're trying to work out. But usually you end up being reincarnated all over the world. But it depends on the lesson that needs to be learned.
So then you might be reincarnated and have soul relationships in your next life with not necessarily the same souls that you had before, but akin souls, like they have the same problems, same causes and conditions.
I think the nucleus of your group is the same people, but like I said, it's groups of souls. So you can be grouped together, and then someone can be all on the other side of the world, but you still group with them because you still have that same mental pattern or consciousness that they have.
Well, it's interesting now that we have the internet, for example, like you have relationships all over the world, so it makes more sense also
Yeah.
that you would have contact with them.
Because like I was telling you a couple of weeks ago, you can't experience the consciousness of an ant, right? But the ant consciousness is there. You see the ant, and you can step on the ant and kill the ant with the blink of an eye, because why? You can't relate to that ant, But that ant lives on a level of consciousness, The same way all of us in this room live on a level of consciousness, We can relate to each other to a certain degree, but there's different levels of consciousness. Now, the level of consciousness that you're on right now, I'm sure in China there's probably 100,000 or 200, 300,000 people on the same level that you are, and you're connected to them whether you realize it or not. That's what I'm talking about. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the same country, the same, dialect or whatever. Any other questions?
Could you use mantra to enhance the power or effect of a prayer?
Yeah.
Could you speak a prayer, say a prayer physically and mentally recite a mantra as you're doing it?
If you what? You can do what now?
Like if you recite a prayer, you're speaking the prayer, but you mentally repeat a mantra as you're reciting the prayer.
No, not necessarily. What you would do, you would chant the mantra, right? And build the energy level up in the body. And then once the aura and the chakras begin to respond to that energy level, then you quickly say the prayer and release that energy. Release the energy that you just built up with that mantra. And that's how you can use mantra. Now, we have something that this society called the Operation Prayer Power, where they have members of the Operation Prayer Power team that's actually given certain mudras and certain initiations into prayer, where they actually can collect the energy of the people that's chanting the mantra. Like they may have 30 to 40 people chanting the mantra and holding their hands up and sending energy towards that person. And that person has been trained to use a particular mudra in visualization to collect that energy and take that energy and push it through them and color that energy with a particular prayer, some type of prayer energy, and they place it into an apparatus, a battery, and they store those prayer hours. And then when there's a war or some type of natural catastrophe, they actually release that prayer energy. They have a machine to actually release that prayer energy back out to the world in order to help stop that war or heal the sick or whatever. So now you have techniques like that. You have prayer techniques where they do that, but when you're doing it for yourself, then you chant the mantra, you build the energy up in you, you can feel the energy building up, and then you say your prayer, and you have enhanced that prayer by doing it.
Group prayer, is it more powerful than individuals praying for the same thing at the
Yeah,
same
it
time?
is.
How does that work? I mean, is it a mathematical equation of some sort, or
It's just it's people coming together. You're increasing the output.
Exponentially by each person.
Yeah. So it's and then especially when you're in sync with each other.
Is it even in Buddhist tradition too, even group meditation, you say it's more potent than individual meditation. I don't know how that would work.
I don't believe that, but
No?
no, I don't believe that.
But when groups come together to
It
pray.
depends on what it depends because they call meditation a lot of things.
True.
But it depends on what type of meditation they're talking about. If it's real meditation, no. If it's a prayer meditation, yes. Because they have prayer meditation in Buddhism, where they silently say a prayer or something like that, or silently send energy out.
But if everybody's coming together in silence, isn't an energy field created?
No.
No?
That's the way. It's very hard because if you notice, you could practice like that in the beginning, but eventually you have to separate. Because like right now, if you can see psychically, all our auras have connected and joined. So you can't have this real silence that you're searching for. Even Dr. King told us that. Say you cannot really go into the silence in a group. You can't have these deep states of meditations in a group. You can't do it in a group. You have to be by yourself, or in the beginning with a teacher or a trainer or whatever.
As far as meditation is concerned, does it matter if eyes are open or closed?
The majority of the time, eyes are closed. It doesn't matter anyway. When you get at the beginning the stages of any type of meditative or contemplative level, your eyes can be closed, but you can still see.
Just creepy.
You can still see. It doesn't matter. That's one of the first things you'll notice. that you begin to see through your eyelids, you know. So that's, you know.
Have you heard of Viandoza? Viandoza or Viandaza?
What is it?
It's like it's a practice that it is like a way of like it's a psychological practice that they do where they do a lot of meditation, and they feel like it's a way of life to enhance spiritual healing and
Describe it, because they got a lot of stuff out there.
What they do silent. It's usually connection, like a group of people, and they silently they connect together. But at the beginning, they just speak for a little bit, but it's mostly done silently. And there's music. It's a lot of activities going on silently. They try to connect to each other, and by trying to release positive energy and a lot of sharing of happiness, energy activities, a lot of what else do they do? They it's mostly non-verbal and a lot of touching and dancing and
Yeah, I heard of that before. Yeah, I mean, it's just another technique, but like I said, personal development happens in a locker room. I know it's not sexy or romantic or whatever, but it happens in a locker room, where you can deal with yourself. You have to cut yourself off from the world physically, and then cut yourself off from the world mentally. And any teacher that's telling you that it doesn't happen like that, I would question them. Because if you go back to most of the teachers that have proved themselves, they tell you that that's the way you do it. So, I mean, this whole group thing is for money. In my opinion, in this day and time, it's a way they make money, and it's for socialization. And it's also a way to teach people too, to get people involved, because most people, like I told you, they like this negative way of experiencing life through relationship, through sociality. That's most churches, it's a social event. And it's not. And I'm not saying that it's bad. It's a good thing because it helps you to grow. If you take, especially at our level, if you take one summer and just sit home and don't do anything, then you take another summer and you go everywhere. At the end of each summer, evaluate yourself. The summer where you went everywhere, you'll feel refreshed. You'll feel like you're on top of the world. You'll feel that you know so much, and because why? You interchange with a lot of people, which is good. But we have to learn that in our personal development, we have to begin to sit in that locker room and detach ourselves. If you want to spiritually in a positive way, in this positive spiritual development.
But at the same time, like our mandate in this time is not to seclude ourselves, but to be in the midst of everyone.
No, you're not secluding yourself. What you're doing, you're developing yourself. That's not saying that you're going to bring your consciousness back down and you're going to walk among everyone again. It's not like going into the caves or the Himalayan mountains. No, you're staying right in the middle of the urban area. But when it's time for you to take that 30 minutes or hour or 2 hours for yourself, you do it in the proper way it's supposed to be done. And you'll see the tremendous difference in doing it. Go to some of these group sessions and then go back and do it in a locked room by yourself, and you'll notice there's worlds of difference. And your development will come quicker. you know, when you're by yourself. It's very hard to, because what you're doing, you're interchanging, you know, energy patterns. Your aura has atoms and molecules the same way your body do. And what do we learn about if I touch this, what's happening?
You're exchanging energy.
I'm exchanging, you know, there's a chemical bond that just happened. So when you sit in the presence of someone else, there's a chemical bond that's going on. So in other words, you know, my karma and this bottle's karma is linked probably for the next 10,000 years. You know, so you have to understand that. So when you link with someone else, you link with them for hundreds of thousands of years. You know, so that's the problem. That's the problem. Now, if you go back and study the teachings of Madame Blavatsky, right? When she got to a certain level of her development, she did not allow anyone to touch her. She did not allow anyone to touch her. It's the same thing with these. What I don't know. Some of them don't know why they do it. They're just accustomed. But with these rabbi priests, they do the same thing. No one can touch them but their wife. No one can come sit close to them but their wife. They exclude themselves from everyone else. You know, they'll talk to you, whatever, but, you know, you can't be in the same room with them, you know, by yourself. You know, they need either their assistant or their wife next to them as you communicate with them. Definitely a female cannot be in the same room with them by themselves. So it, you know, is, you know, they have these customs for, a lot of them don't know why, but of course, a master or adept, they know why they do those things. You know, they don't allow too many people to come near them.
I mean,
Because they understand that.
would it be recommended at our level not to touch people?
No, I'm not telling you. I'm just saying you'll know when. You know, you'll know when. But that's one of the reasons why.
That cave in LA is starting to get good, man.
But you'll know why. You'll know why when you get to that stage. Yeah.
I have a bit of confusion still with the different levels of the bodies, from more physical or more gross to more subtle. I was wondering if you could review.
Oh, what they mean?
Yeah, like in the right order also.
Which order you want me to go
From more physical to more
To
subtle.
the physical. Okay, you have a physical body, right? And the next body up will be the astral body. All right. Now the astral body relates to the physical, to the chakras at the base chakra and the sex chakra, and a little of the solar plexus chakra. Also the chakras in the legs. It's the astral body. Then you have, you know, of course you have the energy body. Now some people call the energy body everything, because the energy body intertwines with all the bodies that I want to talk about. You have what they call the pranic body, and the pranic body is at all levels. All right, it intertwines with all the chakras. Right. Now, then after that, you have the mental body, or bodies. You have several mental bodies, and you have the etheric body. Now, the etheric body is from the heart chakra up. The heart, the throat, the Christ, and the crown. And then you have the auric body, which is the highest body that you can have. Some people call it the causal body.
Etheric and what else?
What carries
What's
all
after
the
the etheric?
The auric body.
Auric?
Yeah. The auric body, is the body that you, that you never discard. That's the body that goes on and on and on and on and on.
So is this the one that holds the samskaras?
Yeah.
And where would the emotional body fit in?
The emotional body is the astral body.
It is an astral body.
Yeah.
What about the psychophysical or the psychospiritual,
The
mental?
psychospiritual body is a combination of the mental and the etheric and auric body. Now, the etheric body may last for many lives too, but that's getting too complicated. But I just want you to know that you don't necessarily discard the etheric body every life, and the etheric body doesn't necessarily take on the shape of the physical body. The astral body takes on the shape of the physical body. The astral body is discarded after every life. The astral body dies the same way the physical body does.
Yeah, but when you're incarnated into the astral realms, you create a new astral body,
Yeah.
but it's not a physical body, it's an astral body.
It's a physical body.
Well, it's a physical one. Okay.
It's a physical body for the astral plane.
Yeah.
See, when you go to the astral realms, things are solid. Don't think that you can stick your hand through the desk. It's just as solid as here. You know, it's no airy-fairy thing. The ground, you're not gonna sink through the ground when you walk out. The ground, you have dirt, you have grass, you have water. You know, it's physical for that frequency. You know, but it's physical.
So what we're calling physical really is a type of astral?
No, I'm saying when you go to that level of consciousness, it's physical.
Right.
You know, it's physical to you. You
Would
know?
you know that you are a different
Yeah,
level?
you realize it.
Hopefully you will.
You know you will. You know.
Are there other levels that are more gross than the one we call physical?
No, but the astral world, in a sense, is grosser than the physical world. Because the molecules of the astral planes are closer together. You know. You understand what I'm saying? You know, like if we take something physical here, right? And we put it on a microscope, you find that there's more space in that physical material than solid substance. The thing that makes it look physical and feel physical is the electronic configuration.
Charge.
You know, yeah, the way those electrons spin around that atom. It spins so fast that it makes it solid, like, and you can't penetrate it because it spins so fast that you can't penetrate it. That's the thing that makes it solid. But when you go to the astral planes, you'll notice that if you were able to look through some type of microscope 35,000 times, you know, magnified, you'll notice that the atoms are closer together. There's less space there. So theoretically, is grosser than this physical plane, you know. But theoretically it is. So when you go there on that level, yeah, it's grosser.
Can you argue that this physical plane is an astral plane, or no?
No, not necessarily. It's one of the lower planes. The astral planes are the lower. You have higher astral planes and you have lower astral planes, but this is like the middle passageway here, you know.
This is level 1.
It's just the middle passageway. Yeah. It's between it's between the hells and the heavens, in other words.
And would you say for the etheric body, the etheric realms, I mean, it's the same, just as physical as here, but
Yeah.
is there a much greater difference in the astral?
The greatest difference that you will notice is that the matter, the physical matter on the etheric planes is a higher physical matter than on this plane and the other planes. In other words, it is closer to a sentinel light than the matter on the lower plane.
Like you'd be able to sense more life, like in this chair.
Yeah.
They're-
It responds to
it's like-
sensitive light, yeah. In other words, it's sort of like the shaped alloys that they're developing now, or they've been developing for the last 20 years. Everybody knows what shaped alloys are, right?
The memory metal.
Huh?
Memory
The memory, yeah. You know, where everybody watched Terminator, and where that android, what was it, an android?
Yeah.
Where he was able to move the shape alloy type, he was able to shape into anything. Well, someone was studying the teachings, because on the higher rims, and they've been saying that for hundreds of years, on the higher rims, the metal and even the trees, even the rock, they speak, they talk, they walk, they communicate with you. So that's the difference. That's the main difference from the lower planes, the lower realms. Although here on Earth, mankind have realized that plant life speak and respond to emotions and all that. But on higher realms, you can see it. I mean, you that's one thing you readily notice, and you have a greater compassion for them.
So you're more aware of their actions.
Yeah, you're more aware that they are life, that they are living beings just like you. You'll be, it's very insensitive to root up, to take a beautiful flower up and put it in a pot. You'll be more conscious that I just uprooted this life form and put it in a pot just for my pleasure. You'll think, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. And then if you do it, then you should be sensitive enough to give the plant some type of anesthetic to, in fact, now today, they do that a lot now, because they became aware that this is a life form. So when they get ready to move a plant, especially a large tree, they give it some type of anesthetic in the move, because they noticed that when they didn't do that, of course it's part of selfish reasons, they noticed that when they didn't do that, the plant would die quicker. But since they give the plant anesthetic, the plant lives. It doesn't die in transport, or after transport. So it's a living thing. And the rocks are living, the mountains are alive. The mountains are very advanced beings too. So, they're more advanced than human life.
Then in that case, when we're created, what were we supposed to eat? Because we're eating vegetables, we're eating all these,
Yeah, but that's one of the exchange of energies. The plant life give us the fruit or the meat of the offsprings, because the seeds are within. We don't necessarily eat the seeds. We eat the meat around the seeds. And then we take the seed and we put it back into the ground so that the plant can have new life. Right? If not, we leave everything up to the birds to do, which is not really, that great, But that's what there again, go back to the Bible. Go back to Genesis. And what Genesis tells you, say, I give you every herb bearing seed upon the face of the earth. To you it shall be meat. It shall be the meat for you. So in other words, we should take the fruit or the plant, we eat the meat around of it, we take the seeds out and we put it back into the ground to grow a new plant. And that to us should be our meat, not the cattle, not the pig.
I get made fun of a lot for being vegetarian. I get made fun of a lot for being vegetarian. In my family.
Yeah, your family's from the lower house.
Any other questions?
So nice.
Usually your family's a little around.
We got all these different bodies. and is the soul containing all of these bodies, or is
Yeah.
this- So even the physical is within,
Hmm?
even the physical body is contained within what we would call the soul. So it's not the other way around. It's not like the body.
Well, the
contains-
soul, all these bodies is an extension of the action of the soul. Like I told you before. What happened, the soul takes, the soul formulates this thing called kundalini. And it used the kundalini as a vehicle to stimulate, to put into action or motion all these bodies. Because every movement you have is a movement of kundalini. You understand that, right? You can't think, you can't breathe, you can't walk, you can't dream, you can't do anything without kundalini. So the kundalini is a vehicle of consciousness for the soul. But at the same time, you can't have action without consciousness. So the soul, the kundalini is the consciousness and the action for the soul. So that's where the nadis come about. The nadis is the background for all of these bodies. In all these bodies, you'll find the nadis present, because the nadis are within the auric body. Okay, so now all these bodies fit tightly into the auric body, if that's what you're asking. You'll notice the aura around all these bodies. And the aura is no mystery. Man have been able to photograph the aura for the last 100 years. Okay, so it's no mystery. They can photograph the auric body. They can't photograph all the levels of the auric body, but they can photograph the more physical and less subtle levels of the auric body. But they've been doing it since the 1800s.
If Kundalini is the vehicle of consciousness, what exactly is consciousness? The bodies? Like each body, is that what consciousness is?
No, Kundalini.
So Kundalini is the vehicle of consciousness, but it is consciousness itself?
Yeah.
That's it.
It's a vehicle of consciousness for the soul. All right? Because soul creates this thing called consciousness, which is Kundalini.
So all like the stupid decisions we make in life, in a sense, that's Kundalini also?
It's bad soul management.
That's like the lower mental bodies taking over that Kundalini energy, I guess.
Huh?
The lower mental bodies.
It's the
taking-
vehicle you're working through, because the vehicle you work through has certain desires, if you're in a male body, you desire a woman. If you're in a female body, you desire a female. And you might be in a male body and desire a male too. You might be in a female body desiring a female. So, but it's the desires that's connected to the genetic material of that particular body. See?
Not
That
just
you have to
cultural.
work through. You have to
Not
work
just
through.
talk, not just environment influencing upon your
No,
mental.
it could be environment, but most likely it's the combination of genetic material that's been built up, which is a result of the samskaras and actions of all your past lives, and all your family relationships and crazy decisions you made, bring about you. And now you have to work through that and organize it and put it in order. That's why it's very hard to judge anybody, because first you have to judge yourself.
What does a practice like the 12 blessings, or how does it engage all of the bodies, or the different bodies?
Well, I mean, that's the thing that we talked about. What are you doing? You are focusing all your attention, all your energies on that prayer, or that mantra, or whatever. To do what? To shape and mold the samskaras of all those bodies. To bring it under focus and put it under what? What are we talking about? What are we conforming it to?
Karma.
The karma. So that's the effect it has on it. You know, all right action is, for better terms, is white magic. All wrong actions is black magic. A mixture of both is gray magic. See? So you want to take all your actions, all your thoughts, and make it highly positive. And now you have this pure flow of energy. You know? So then if you want to do something evil, you want to take all your wrong thought and all your negative actions and push it towards that way in order to, you know, usually it's selfish and personal or whatever. I mean, not impersonal, it's selfish and personal on the negative side, right? But on the positive side, it's usually impersonal, you know, and peaceful.
Is there usually like, in terms of relationships, is there usually a clash when, let's say, somebody goes about their daily life being positive, you know, having a positive outlook on everything, and then there's a person next to you that's being negative most of the time? Is there always going to be like a clash there? Kind of like,
I don't know about that. I mean,
because
it depends on what lesson you need to
personal,
learn.
like personal experience. Like I try to go about things on a positive way. Yeah, I got people like my grandmother, who I love her, and there's no drama there, but she's a really negative person. So, is there that interchange of like positive negative energy? I mean, does that like cancel out?
No, not
am I
necessarily.
influencing her to be?
I mean, you could be influencing her to be positive, or she could be influencing you to be negative. It depends. That's a lesson that I mean, that might be the lesson that you have, you know, that she had at this time. You know, when you say she's negative, negative in what type of way? If you don't mind me asking.
Like with the baby, because she's the babysitter. I take care of the baby and I make sure she's safe, but I don't go around worrying that, you know, she's gonna fall off a cliff or something, you know? Like, she worries about every little negative detail. And I get scared sometimes that negative thought is gonna create that. Like, you know, the baby is gonna fall off the crib or something because you're thinking about it so much.
Maybe you need to get the root of why she's telling you that. I mean, her life experience may have her to feel that way. And she'd rather take the role of precaution, you know, than the role of just let the power flow, you know? You know, so maybe you need to look into, because she might be dealing with wisdom, you know, when you're dealing with this positive thought thing.
I thought that too. Like, she has more experience, I understand that. And I take the precautions to make sure that nothing bad happens to the baby, but I don't go around just worrying about it all the time.
No, you need
take
to
the
worry.
precautions, and the precautions are there.
Yeah.
And I go
And
along
yeah,
with
let
life.
it go. You know, you predetermine your actions and you let it go. You know, but you know, I don't think you need to worry about it. But I wouldn't dismiss what she's telling you. That's what I'm trying to say. Because you know, sometimes older people, they work from a level of wisdom, and they don't have the skills to communicate that to us. They just say, well, you need to do this. And you saying, well, why the hell I need to do that? You know, so, but they understand why. They can't communicate that to you. You know, but you know, then, you know, down the road you say, well, I should have listened to them. You know, so it's don't dismiss. Sometimes wisdom comes in all different types of ways.
But what about wisdom or advice in an area they really have no business giving advice in? like for example, like at home, I'm reciting mantra.
Mhm.
My mom has no idea what that is, but she hears me doing this mumbling over and over and over and over
Mhm.
again for 30, 45 minutes. And so she comes in and, asks me to stop doing that, or she thinks something's wrong, or she thinks it's bad. But I'm like, Mom, you have no idea what I'm doing. What are you talking about? But I don't say that, but I'm thinking it. I'm pretty sure she picks up on it because she's my mom. But like, do I just dismiss that, or do I say it quietly to myself? Like, how do I?
Just lower your volume. Give her the respect. It's her house. Just lower the volume. I mean, people gonna, if she don't understand, and she's not willing to understand, you can't force her to understand. So you have to come to that on her own, So just try to avoid those types. Like I said, predetermine your own destiny, your own actions. If you know that she's gonna come in there and be disturbed by that, then make it so that she can't hear you. There's techniques to do that. So, even if you have to soundproof your room, but there's ways to do it. So, I mean, you can't, you can't control her mental apparatus on that. You have to let her come to her own awakening with that. People have whether they belong in a conversation or not, they have a right to get in that conversation, Especially if you put it out there on the airwaves, they have a right. So you can't stop that. And to try to stop that, you're going down the road of what? Like magic. That's right. So that's not something you want to do.
Technically, is it black magic?
Trying to control someone else? Yes. Yes, it is.
So, really, that is,
When you try to control someone else, yeah.
so like our parents trying to control us?
It's a form of black magic, yeah.
Using wisdom to try to control someone.
Huh?
Using wisdom. or higher knowledge.
Using their total will against, against you to get you to do what you don't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if a parent tells a child not to do something, and they're not.
Well, no, it's different when you guiding them.
Yeah.
But when they get to a certain age, it's,
Yeah.
you don't have a business telling them what to do. It's different. It's different with a child who you're trying to defend through life. You're there as a guide, the same way the great masters of the spiritual hierarchy of Earth. They said that the spiritual hierarchy leave the Earth within the next 5 minutes. We'll have total catastrophe around the world. We'll have all type of earthquakes, tidal waves, everything. Is because of their presence here is keeping the moderate type weather that we see around. Because why? In their presence, the Deviant kingdom is not allowed to bring about such great, terrible catastrophes. It's the same thing in the presence of a mother or a father with their child. The child is not going to walk up to the stove and stick their hand in the fire. Because why? Because you're there. And you're not going to let that happen in your presence. See, so that's not controlling them, that's protecting them. But when that child comes to a certain age, and then you telling them, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that, it's best to tell that child to get the hell out of your house.
What age is that? What age do you determine that?
Our age.
It's best, when that child become an adult,
Oh, yeah.
18, 21 years of
18.
age, and they can't listen to you anymore, and you can't tell them, they tell you they're grown, then, it's time to make arrangements for them to move on. And that's the way it is, I know we want to keep them in the house, and we don't want them to go nowhere, but we have to, and it's hard, because I'm speaking from experience too, it's hard to let them go. But, That's what you have to do. Because for you to keep them there and hold them down and stop them from experiencing the things that they want to experience, you're bringing about negative karma on yourself. You're bringing about negative karma on yourself. Because you're controlling them.
Even if
I
there's
think they're developing. You know, like as a parent, I feel that I would do my job as a parent if I feel comfortable that they can preserve themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what you want to teach them that. But at 23, and they haven't learned that, you know.
You haven't done your job as a parent.
Yeah, well, it's not that so much. They haven't accepted what you taught them. You know, you may have taught them everything, but they just may not have accepted.
Right.
You know, and that's the thing. They have to accept it. And now, and now, what you're trying to do, you're trying to hog tie them, open their mouth, and pour this stuff in. You know, hoping that it get to their brain. It's not going to work. It's not going to work like that. You know, they have to come to their own awakening in their own, you know, time. But you know, it's wrong. It's wrong to tie them up and try to make them do what you want them to do. After after they came to age.
But there's certain young children, even at age 8, 9, it's very strong-willed to have their own mind.
Yeah, but still, but you know that but you know at that point their mind is not developed enough, and they have not absorbed enough experience and understanding to go out there in the world.
So if you tell them, so your will at that, your direction at that time is
You comically right,
come.
unless you're abusing them. You know, it's just a whole different thing unless you're abusing them. But usually, if you're a good parent, of course, it's right because their brain is not developed. Their brain really don't develop until they get like 21. Really. You know. I agree with you. Some of them at 24.
That's why, like in the CDC, and there's testing, and there's medical.
30-something.
There's there's some right now in CDC.
13 for me.
But this
Majority of the minds may not develop until.
yeah, with all this computer stuff, you know, I believe it's 30 now. You know, because they live in this computer world. You know, before we had this MTV video world, you know, that they was living in. You know, now they're living on Facebook and this whole YouTube thing, you know. I mean, and it's just a joke too when you read the news and you read how the cops are solving their cases by going on Facebook and YouTube. It's just ridiculous. You know, they commit a crime and film the whole thing. What an idiot, you know? and that's what they're doing now. So you know, yeah, it might be 30 years old before they come to age now. So, but you have to let them go. You have to let a child go. You can't tell them what to do. You know, at a certain age.
And you know, the willful children, the sooner you let them go and make their own mistakes, the sooner they'll start listening to you too.
Yeah. I was talking to one of my daughter's her friend. We took them to Danny Bear the other day, and we was talking to the parents. And one parent was saying, he said, they're from Peru, and he said, I have a 23-year-old. He said, my daughter, she went everywhere with me up to age 12. At age 12, she didn't want to come back to Danny Bear anymore. She didn't want to be with me. She wanted me to stay away from her. And he said it was like that all the way up until she was 23. Now at age 23, he can't get rid of her, you know. So it's, you know, they go through these cycles because she went out there, you know, she went through the teenage thing, she went through, you know, high school, then now she's getting ready to graduate from college, and, you know, and she see that everything that her parents, all the restrictions that they were putting on her was good, you know. So now she, you know, she wants to be a part of the family again, you know. But it's like that with family. It's like that. I mean, you gotta let them go.
I have a question.
Mhm.
So somebody asked around here if our relatives or family member we were related or together or grouped together.
Mm-hmm.
from past lives, is that true?
Most likely,
Really?
because usually your close family members, it takes lifetimes to work out certain complications. And everybody can kind of figure that out, you know, right? I mean, think about it.
But not necessarily in a familiar relationship. There could be other relationships.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's not necessarily
could be
your
like
mom
a
was
best
your
friend.
daughter. It could have been,
yeah. I mean, your mom could have been your daughter.
yeah, it could, right, exactly, but not necessarily to stay within a family
No,
type
no.
relationship. There's other relationships that
It can
can
be your mom, your uncle, your aunt, your cousin, your best friend.
Right.
You know, usually they played all those different roles in your life.
What about spouses?
Same
Same
thing.
thing, that's what I was trying to tell you.
So, it's like my ex-husband?
Most
Daughter.
likely, and if he's your ex-husband, most likely you're gonna have to, if you didn't deal with all those situations, in your next life, he might be your brother, your father, or your husband again, you know?
You gotta send that man some healing. I gotta detach. Just give me a new mission.
Yeah, I mean, most likely, I mean, you have to resolve those situations. You have to be able to communicate with them effectively and resolve those issues.
When you say resolve, do you mean like settle and let go? Or
Yeah, I mean,
like where it's not
Yeah.
plaguing you anymore?
Yeah,
Right.
where, you know, where their name doesn't make you wanna puke, you know?
Okay, I'm good. So if you've passed that, you're good, right? Like,
Well, you probably, but most likely, you know, in most cases, you have to come back and deal with those people over and over and over again until you can have a type of relationship where it doesn't end in such craziness.
Would you say like let's say a healthy best friend relationship, is that a resolved
Could be, yeah.
relationship?
Could be, yeah. So, I mean, but, you know, you have to rise above those type of things. Because you remember, those are things that we talked about last year. Those are things that when we talked about the impurities of the body, the impurities of the body is all these crazy emotions
right.
that keep the mind from being single-minded, that stop you from being able to look at something for what it is, and, you know, it creates this illusion. You know, those are the properties that help create the illusion around us, all the impurities, which is really the emotions. Because the astral planes is a plane of distortion. That's what it is. It distorts reality. That's what the astral plane really does. So the emotional plane is the astral plane. So we have to rise above our emotions and live in this pure etheric type mental plane, and then we wouldn't be bothered by all these different emotions, you know. And that's the problem. So a lot of times we have all these unresolved emotions because we're living in this basic emotional physical world. And we have to keep going through this same vicious circle with these same people. And it's not the same people, because what happened, you add a couple more every lifetime, you know. So now you got this big circle of mess that you're waving through. And you got all these people and all these emotions and all this drama going on.
I think the kids are starting to look a
What
lot
about
better.
people we have good relationships with? We don't get to spend time with them again?
Yeah, of course. That's what helps you grow. Usually when you have, you say good people that you have good relationships with, usually you spend lifetimes with those people as well. You spend lifetimes with them, you know, and you grow together because you interplay on each other's intelligence and spirituality, you know. So you spend lifetimes with them as well.
So how does this selection process work before you incarnate? Like, is it simply you, we're all going together?
No, not necessarily. I don't think it happened like that. I think you just come on. I think you just come on the scene, and in your actions and in your movements, you come across, you know, the necessary people you need in order to complete a particular task. And your likes and dislikes become manifested, you know, based on your level of comprehending the reality around you. And then you move forward and you start creating this total, illusion that you live in, which you come to realize later that it is a great illusion. You don't have to necessarily get caught up in all the emotions. It's like going to a nice movie. You get all emotional about the movie. Then afterwards, you just release it, right? Or you can continue talking about it after, and get more emotional, or you can just, okay, that's over with now. I'm gone. So you have to get to that point where you can do that. You have the action and you move away from the action. You end it, you close it out without holding on to all this, I hate you because you did this to me, how could you ever say this to me, and all this other craziness, which most people get really caught up in. I know, I have family and friends, there's something that happened 30 years ago. She said this to me, I can't believe she said this to me, I never forgave her for this. Okay, you be telling me that 10 lies from now, because that person will come back and say the same thing to them or something similar, and they'll go on one life after another doing that, and unresolved, totally unresolved. So you have to, you have to resolve those things,
So should you go back, and let's say you have a friendship that ended terribly, do you go back and talk to that person?
No, I don't think you have to go back. You can resolve it mentally.
Mentally, okay.
Yeah, on a spiritual level. You can release all of that. Remember when I was talking to you last, I didn't get into it last week.
No.
I said you release all those emotions.
Right.
You release those things.
You said about going into a closet or somewhere and you release them there. I was gonna ask you, can we come back in that spot where we put all those emotions and those feelings? Can we put energy, like the
You
violet
can burn
flame,
them up.
transmute it?
I didn't really go into that, but what you can do, you can burn all that up. And that's what mantra does too. Mantra helps you burn up those mental samskaras.
Is it any particular mantra?
Almost any mantra.
Any mantra?
Yeah,
Okay.
almost any mantra. But you can, you can burn up those things. You release them.
Right.
You move past them. You forgive that person for whatever they did to you, and then you offer them spiritual energy to come to their own awakening.
Right.
But you don't harbor on all the terrible things that they did to you. You release that. Let them, and ask God and their higher self to guide them to a higher place, to a better place. But you don't necessarily get bogged down with what happened to you, because if you're at this point where you're able to release them and forgive them, then you needed that experience in order to get there. So although it was a negative experience, you turned it into a positive experience.
So like engaging in spiritual practices like prayer and healing and things like that advance you, which change your karmic pattern, does that also change the people that you go with throughout lifetimes?
You burn up, just like I was just saying, you burn up the negative samskaras, you burn up these impurities that's trapped in the body. You reconfigure them to be something else, to work on a higher level of consciousness.
So in the sense of reincarnation, that changes the group I incarnate with?
Yeah, so let's say someone came into this life and they worked and they had a spiritual life and they obtained this high level of consciousness, maybe to the brink of an adept, whatever. So now in your next life, right, the same circle of people that they were in, they become the teacher of those people. And now and now that group have a leader to call them, to go to follow, and they may raise out of their level of consciousness to follow that particular person. And then another group may come on, it's just, it goes on and on and on and on.
To go back as far as resolving a situation, just when I thought the situation was resolved by the mantras and all that, but just like a remembrance of the event, stirred up all these other emotions, does that mean that it
It's
was
never
not
been
resolved?
resolved, yeah.
What have I been doing then?
You know, belief, right? Belief, confession, right? Appeal, and change in the appeal. Okay, that's the formula for personal prayer. All right? So you have a belief in this divine power, right? And this divine presence and God. And you confess everything. You strip your soul, you know, naked of all of everything, of everything that you are, all the negative things, you know, some of the good things, but mostly all the negative, all the terrible things you did. And you say to God, I know that I'm imperfect, but, you know, I'm appealing to you for the strength and the power to overcome this, right? And then change, surrender under that appeal, total surrender, and it's over with.
Because I tend not to like people. I just tend not to like people, but I feel better, like in an isolated situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm happy, like if I'm sitting home by myself, I'm good. But so what I struggle with, what I try to do is when I encounter a person, because I don't know why I'm encountering you, I don't know why I'm working with you, I don't know why we met. So I have to try to take this intentional effort to say, you know, I'm going to be a positive influence to this person. I'm going to try to be supportive. I'm going to try to, you know, just try to go in with intentions that my relationship with this person is going to be positive. Otherwise, I tend to fall into a judgmental type of attitude. But generally, I'd rather not.
But that's good if you create the right intent. Creating the right intent is the right way to do it.
But it's a challenge. It's hard.
Yeah. It's hard. You the same way, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. I'm like,
Hi.
well, you talk to this person, be like, extra, do it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, it's really hard, I don't like it.
And it gets like that. I know I went through years of being like that. So it gets like that. Now in the spiritual pathway, you're gonna have those feelings where you don't want no one in the world to come around you. You know. But you know, you have to get over that. You know. But that's the formula. You got the formula? So use that formula. And when you go to do your personal prayer and to release these negative feelings or whatever, you know, you go into the silence and you realize that you're connected to this all-powerful being, the being that has power and consciousness over everything in the universe. And then you confess.
And it's me, I'm not focusing on the situation, just my part.
Yeah. You can't focus on anybody else. You know, you have to deal with you. And then you confess everything that you did, everything that you went through, you know, the situation where you're at right now. You just let it all go. You know. And then you make an appeal to God. You ask for strength and guidance for you and the person and all the people that was in the situation that you was in, and ask them to be raised to a higher level. Give them the strength and power so that they can move on and that you can move on. And then you make a commitment to change in the light and action of that prayer and commitment, you know, that you just received from God. And you may have to do it a couple times, but, you know, if you do it one time, I think it's good enough. You do it sincerely one time, I think it's good enough. But that's your personal prayer.
The third step where you said appeal to God, Ask for strength and power.
Belief, confession, right? Appeal, and then change.
Describe the appeal part.
The appeal is you just appeal, you ask for something.
Oh.
You know, you ask for the guidance, the light, the power, the strength, the wisdom. And then upon receiving it, because you know you're gonna receive it, then you change under the reception of that. Okay, God has given me this, so now I make a commitment to change. All right?
Question.
Mhm.
When you're like a practice of the 12 blessings, when we first start the prayer, I would start the practice. We do a dedication where we say we're sending it out to this, we're sending it out to that. What I know that intention is what colors the prayer, but what effect does that have in case you're sending it to an individual, or you're sending it out to an entity or a group of individuals? Like how does that change the prayer? Like on the target that you're intending it to.
If it has no target, where is it going?
It's everything.
Yeah. So you need a target.
Okay.
You need an overall target. Because what you're doing, you're balancing the energy in a sense. So you're saying, you're blessing the peace workers, right? You're blessing everyone who give impersonal love, right? And then you're giving, you're doing what is peace? No, it's peace, wisdom. Then is love, right? Is the planetary one. Then is the Diva Kingdom, which is the Thanksgivers, right? Then is those who heal. Then is the Earth, the Sun, and
The Lords of
Karma, right? And then you have the galaxy. So now when you're sending energy to these great, magnificent beings, right? The balancing factor is that there's the energy coming back to you, right? In return of that energy coming back to you, you're saying, send an energy to a particular group or target. So that's the balancing factor. Other than that, as Dr. King said, you might as well say dog, chicken, dog, chicken, dog, chicken. Because you have this scattered energy that's not going anywhere, or just coming back to you. And really, when you do that, you'll notice when you don't direct the energy, you feel frustrated afterwards. And then you can't sleep. You can't, you have this extra energy that you can't do anything. But when you balance the energy by targeting something, then the energy automatically, still you get an extra level of energy by targeting it to someone. Because the fact that it went to that person, you still get something back anyway, but it's multiplied.
So if you say you send for inspiration and upliftment of all beings, that's still a target, right?
That's a target. That's a target. Yeah, that's a target.
But I've noticed the difference when I would do it stuff like that for global healing or inspiration of all beings. And one time I did it to the Great White Brotherhood. Like when I did the Great Brotherhood, that's what let me know they were real, was when I did it. And it was this tremendous, I don't know if it's called a feedback or whatever, but I just felt like this tremendous energy coming back and coming down upon me. But it was two very different sensations when it was just the world healing or targeted to.
But why you want to send it to the Great White Brotherhood?
Well, as saying thankfulness.
Okay.
I was saying gratitude and thanking them because I was reading some of the books of what they've done for us, so I was feeling very thankful and the energy out there.
After you read something, you want this. Oh yeah, that's good. But then even though you got when you got that extra energy, the most positive thing you could have did with it, so when you felt the energy come back, is to send the energy out to someone who really needs it.
Could you make that also like, I dedicate this, 12 lessons to the Great White Brotherhood. Any feedback or any energy that comes in, send it out somewhere else? Like,
no, not necessarily. I mean, you want to do it in the moment. When the energy come back to you, you want to send it back out again.
Instead of just wallowing in the bliss.
Instead of just wallowing in the bliss.
Well, it was the first time, so I was like, wow, this is amazing. I just kind of hang out there for a while.
You know, but yeah, you wanna send it back out. That's what I would do. You know, I mean, you can wallow in the bliss if you want to, but that's what I would do. I would try to, if I feel the energy coming back, I would send it back to someone else. That's in need. And really, and those are the times that you can have your miracle healing, and your miracle whatever, because people walked out of the hospital in times that I did that. But the energy came back to me, and I immediately jumped up and I felt it, and I sent it back to whoever I know that was in need.
So then you could, at the moment you're going to heal someone, actually say, I'm sending gratitude to the White Brotherhood, and wait until you get some energy back, and then push it forward to that other person.
Yeah, but I mean, don't start sending to the Great White Brother every day. But I'm just saying, in the moment when you feel that energy, sometimes you do a 12 blessing practice, and all of a sudden, after the practice ends, you feel this tremendous energy come back to you. At that moment, probably the correct time to just open up and send that energy to someone who that's in great need of that energy, that healing energy or inspiration or whatever. Any other questions?
What can one do to realize who they were in their past life?
Why you want to do that?
Curiosity.
Why you want to do that? I'm just asking you.
Curious? Curious.
When the right time comes, you'll come across that. But it's always best to move forward. You don't necessarily need to move backwards.
I need to understand your current situation better.
Yeah. Live in the now. Because it's really you might be too depressed to know what you did in your past life. When you're not ready for it. But it's always best to move forward. What's happened, everything that happened to you in your past has got you right here. So study the now, and the now will reveal the future to you. Because you have the past within you. The past is you. So you take the past and the present, and you study the past and the present of you right now, which exists in your total expression. Then you will know the future. So that's what you need to concentrate on. Don't go to past life people, okay? You're wasting your time. And your money. Because if they knew your past life, they will not tell you. Okay? Because the karma for telling someone their past life is too great for them to tell you. All right? So no one who really know your past life, they won't tell you anyway. Because there's a karmic restriction there, unless they are in a karmic position to tell you. In other words, you're going through some type of initiation, and that information is valuable to you. Or you have a mission to do, and they want you to connect with that energy of some past event that you did. All right. So get away from the past life people. Any other questions? Okay, I guess we didn't get a chance to practice today. We'll practice next week, I guess. And we'll get deep into the technique next week, and we'll have a practice session. Let's close out.